Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. The show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, September 20th, 2015. This is episode 1222. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Ting.com. Ting is a mobile phone service that helps you save money by offering a fair price for the services you use. Visit thetechguy.ting.com to get $25 towards your first device or service and to find out just how much you can save. thetechguy.ting.com. And by the new Epson Workforce printers powered by Precision Core. Workforce is an award-winning line of all-in-one printers for your home office, small to large business, or corporate work groups. Visit Epson.com to learn more. And by Gazelle. Would you like to get cash for your old iPhone? Gazelle makes it easy. The shipping is free. The payment is fast. What's your iPhone worth? Find out right now at Gazelle.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. You know what that means. Your worst nightmare. Wait a minute, I got to put my glasses on, my nerdy glasses with the tape. A geek with his own radio show. But you know what? I'll try to speak normal. Speak plain English today so you can understand what we're talking about. That's kind of what we do here. What you want is a geek who can speak English so I can explain to you all that new stuff that's floating around out there in the technosphere. Computers, yeah, not so much these days. The desktop computer. More and more like your pocket computer. Which is great because I already have the pocket protector. I just put it right in there. Kind of crowded with the pens and the slide rule, but I can do it. I'm talking about the smartphone, the smartwatch, the internet. We talk about apps. Talk about anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can use Skype. Website techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. Oh, there was an Amazon outage. No wonder I couldn't log in this morning. Oh, I understand. I thought it was me. Isn't that always the case? You blame yourself. My internet's down again. I can do everything except log into Amazon. 8888 Ask Leo. iPhone's coming on Friday. Did you get one? No, you should wait. It's the smart thing to do. In fact, I'm looking, and it looks like there will be plenty of iPhones in stores. It seems like, because, for instance, if you look at Apple's website or the cell carriers' websites in the U.S., the delivery times go up and then they go back down, as if maybe Apple's making more as fast as their little elves can. Tap, 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 tap. Here's another one. Tap, 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 tap. Here's another one. What do you think the production line at the iPhone factory? How many iPhones a day do you think they can do? They said, I think this time, that they would have 45 million ready by ship date, Friday. 45 million. And they've been making them about 3 months. So that's 15 million a month. So that's 500,000 a day. 500,000 a day. Wow. That's let's see. Let's say it's probably not a 20. Well, let's say it's a 24-hour day. Let's say it's a 25-hour day, because then the math is easier. 20 divided by 500,000 divided by 25 is 2,000 an hour. Is that right? Or 20,000 an hour? Math is hard. 2,000 an hour. So the factory is cranking out how many iPhones a minute? A lot. Like 30 iPhones a minute. An iPhone every 2 seconds. So it really is Tap, 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 iPhone. Tap, 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 iPhone. Now, the units that have sold out, what do you think of all the units they have? They have a 6S, which is the littler one. What is it, 5 inches? 5-inch screen. The 6S Plus, which is the 5.5-inch screen. Then in each model, they have 3 memory levels. 16, which no one should buy. Do not buy the 16. That's crazy. That's just so Apple can have a low price. Starting at $650. Starting. Don't buy that one. 16, 64, and 128. So that's 3 memories times 2 phones. More math. 6 different kinds there. But we also have 4 colors. We've got silver, titanium, or gray, or whatever they call it, slate, gold, and what they euphemistically call rose gold. Rose gold is pink. I thought, because I've seen rose gold like in the jewelry store. That's like a coppery, very pretty coppery gold. It still looks gold, but it's like a coppery gold. This is not that. This is pink. And I really think that Apple knows it's pink. And they don't want to call it, they thought, I bet you, I would like to be at the meeting. Mr. Cook, we'd like to call these pink. They're pink. They'll be very popular, especially in the Chinese market. They love pink. I don't think you can call it pink. Can we call it rose? Well, that's pink, isn't it? Yes. Salmon? No, that's a fish. Well, how about, we've got gold, rose gold. It's not really gold, but it's rose. Yes, that sounds good. We'll sell those. So what of all of those different kinds, 2 phones, 3 different memories, structures, and 4 colors, it's 24 different kinds of phones. What do you think the big ones are? Yeah, the big ones. And not just the big ones, the big pink ones. They're the big pink phones are like by far, unless it's Apple doesn't say any, but I'm projecting a little bit because those are the ones that are out of stock and the farthest down the road, 3 to 5 weeks for delivery, stuff like that. Now, maybe they only made a dozen of them, but I don't think so. Apple might have made that mistake last year when they started selling for the first time ever a phone 5.5 inches. That might have been surprising to them last year, but not this year. They know, because that was a huge, everybody wants this 6 Plus. It was amazing. Nobody thought that. Apple said for years, oh, you don't want a phone that big. Oh, Samsung's crazy making that Note. Who'd care? In fact, I used to get mocked because I carried the Note for 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I have the Note 5. Love it. And I get mocked, or I was for a long time. Why are you holding that big piece of lumber to your ear? What is that all about? But now it's just like normal. Oh, yeah, that's your phone. Normal. You know what I realized? I had an epiphany driving in, as I often do. Right after I almost got sideswiped, I had an epiphany. I want my phone to be a beast. Don't you want your phone to have power? This is our main computer now. This is not a phone. This is not just, oh, hello. No, this is a calculator, a music player, a game machine. It's how we communicate with friends and family for Facebook and Twitter and your messenger. This phone is, I spend probably more time on this phone than I've ever spent on a computer, and certainly a lot more time than any other computer, including my iPad or my MacBook or any. It's the phone. So don't you want your phone to be a beast? It's a beastly price. The phone I bought is I'm embarrassed to say, it's over $1,000. Now, you may say, but Leo, why would you buy a phone? Won't Apple give you one for review? Well, probably not. But even if they would, I think it's, you know what? I like to feel the pain. How can you review a phone if you didn't feel the pain of laying out 1,000 clamps, your hard-earned money, slapping it down on the counter? How can you feel, if you don't feel that pain, then it means meaningless to say, well, that's a nice phone. I think it's a fine phone. You have to suffer. I suffer for my art. And then you can say, it's $1,000. Is it worth $1,000 is the question. Yes, sure, it's a nice phone. Is it worth $1,000 to have a beast in your pocket? Well, if you're going to have it for a year or two, more math. That's like, what? I don't want to do the math. That's like, almost $50 a month. That's not, your cell contract's more than that. You're paying more than that just to have a phone and data. In most cases, your mileage may vary. So I think we do. I'm thinking, you can correct me if I'm wrong. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. I think you want the most powerful phone you can get, don't you? I realized, for instance, I have to have a fingerprint reader. I've been trying. I love this Moto X. It's so pretty. It's got a wood back, ebony back. It's like a work of art. It doesn't have a fingerprint reader. That's a must. Nowadays, once you have one, you realize, I need a fingerprint reader because then that's secure. You want a beast. Trust me. You don't want no 16 gigs. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I was, Dr. Mom. You know why? I was on my new iPad trying to get on Amazon to download my music, and it wouldn't let me log in. I thought, is this the wrong password? It wouldn't let me log in. It was spinning. So I realized. No carrier uses the Moto phone. So Motorola is doing something I think is great, which is they sell it unlocked direct to you. Google tried this, remember, with the Nexus 1 ages ago, and it was a flop. Because back then, everybody expected the phone to be subsidized by the carrier. They didn't want to see that full price. They didn't want to know. Now we kind of know, don't we? In fact, how long? Apple still, at the event 2 weeks ago, still, when they announced the price of the phone, they say it's $200 for the iPhone 6S, $300 for the iPhone. Actually, they say $199 for the iPhone 6S, $299 for the iPhone 6S Plus. That's not how much it costs. A, that's not how much it costs. B, you don't want that one. That's the 16 gig one. Yeah, well, Dr. Mom, obviously you did not watch the new Screensavers yesterday, which was essentially a giant plug for Maker Faire because the editor-in-chief at Make, Rafe Needleman, was our co-host. We had Mike Sinise come in with a bunch of Maker projects. We gave a 15% off coupon for Maker Faire New York. It was all about Maker Faire New York, but I will give it a plug on there. They sell it for $650 and $750 for the 16 gig model, which you don't want. The Moto X is great. It needs well, it's just me. If you've never had a fingerprint reader, you don't know this. So I won't burst your bubble. Actually, the Samsung Note 5 fingerprint reader is very good. The OnePlus 2 fingerprint reader is very good. The iPhone fingerprint reader, of course, is very good. And we think these are secure too. We being not me. I'm a nerd to the bone. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. The website, techguylabs.com. Heather Hammond, the phone ranger, is taking your calls. Hello, HH. Hey!
No one can hear you wave on the radio.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
Yeah, that'd be a good title for a horror movie. On the radio. In a world where no one can hear you wave. I see some wonderful callers on here. We do have a line 6 open, I see. That's a vacancy. A rare vacancy
rare.
At the Leo B&B. But who should I talk to today?
Brian in lovely New York City.
New York. I was just in New York. Love New York. Hey, Brian.
Hey, good morning, Leo.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. Congrats on such a terrific program. And,
thank you.
More significantly, I mean, almost a business. I mean, that's what I think is really most
almost a business. That's it. That's kind of, that will be on my grave. It was almost a business. This close.
I mean, most talent out there, right? You actually produce the show.
Look at, we've been trying to talk Howard Stern into podcasting.
Right.
I mean, Howard doesn't need the money. Howard's got a good deal, but he's like, I feel like he's on satellite radio. He left terrestrial radio. I think they gave him $500 million to do that. I don't know if he's collected all of that money.
Right,
but,
and they still can't make money off of Sirius XM, right?
Yeah. So I figure, Howard, come to podcasting. I'll show you how you can make $1.50 an hour like clockwork, like in and every day in, day out. What can I do for you, Brian?
So yeah, I had a question for you. I had an old Sandy Ridge laptop that was a second generation Intel Core processor from a few years back. And,
Sandy Ridge.
Sandy Bridge. So, the hard drive seemed to slow up, and it seemed like it was time to maybe do a fresh install. So I kind of swapped out, put a new terabyte hybrid drive in there because I got a lot of data, a terabyte of data. And, I tried to put Win 7 back on, which is what it came with. And, the patches. I mean, I must have spent 3 days installing Windows 7 patches. And it got to the very end, and then the patches started acting funny, give me error message like, oh, yeah, successfully installed. And then when you check for new patches, kept giving more errors. Oh, you still need to install these same patches. So it was really kind of like an endless loop. But then I finally got a little bit of a tweak. It said, something, we can upgrade you. We could solve all your problems.
Sure.
We'll upgrade you to Windows 10.
Everything will be better.
Everything will be better. So what I did was, I was smart about it. I said, let me go take a look at the Sony website. That's who the computer, I guess they're not in the PC business anymore.
Yeah, they don't. What did they say on the Sony website? Go away.
They said, hey, if you want to stay in business, sell your building on Madison Avenue for $500 million.
Bio's gone bio. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Basically subsidize a losing electronics business. No, anyway, what they said was, well, if you have this particular model with hybrid graphics, that was the discrete and as well as the integrated graphics. I think it was like the first generation where they had done that sort of thing. They said, beware, if you upgrade, you will experience BSOD.
Yes.
The blue screen of death.
You have to be DirectX 12 compatible, or you shouldn't upgrade.
Well, I just said, what the heck, I did it anyway.
You ignored them, and did it work?
Well, something, keep in mind, this is on a fresh drive, right? So I didn't really care if it crashes. I'll just go back to Win 7. So anyway, I did it, and I have to tell you, the machine has never run faster.
They lied to you.
Well, I just want to be, I want to be responsible about this. So now I've kind of put all my data back on. I'm using the computer, and it really is quite snappy. I guess it's a lighter weight operating system compared to Win 7, this Win 10 that they've got going on. I think this may be one of the sort of few circumstances in which Microsoft has really gotten it right. And so, but I guess my question is, am I sort of am I being irresponsible? Am I gonna is this gonna have some?
You're being an irresponsible user. We're gonna put you in Windows jail. No, if it works, that's great. The compatibility issues with Windows 10 are myriad. The biggest one is with video cards. It doesn't have to be DirectX 12 compatible. That was some misnomer, but it does. It has to be, I think, a Core 2 or later. I think you're cool if you have Sandy Bridge in there. So who said that you weren't? The Windows compatibility checker?
No. I went to the Sony website.
Oh, they don't know
my model number, and they said, danger, warning signs, do not.
Warning. If Microsoft offered the upgrade to you, and I take it you got a little pop-up saying, would you like to upgrade?
Yeah, it said, not only upgrade, make a reservation for an upgrade.
Yes, congratulations.
Catching a flight out of LaGuardia here.
Brian, table for one, Windows 10 is waiting for you. If they offered you that, and this is my advice to everybody, don't upgrade to Windows 10 unless you get an offer. If they offered you that means the compatibility checker passed your hardware. And so it should work fine, regardless of what Sony says.
Okay. And now I saw that there's a couple of real nifty new features on there, like the Microsoft OneDrive. I mean, I know it's a sponsor of the show, but I do use I had used.
No, OneDrive's great.
Would you recommend
OneDrive on Windows 10 people have complained about. It's not quite baked, but it will get better. And if it works for you now, that's great. It's mostly that there's features in Windows 8 that are missing in Windows 10. But that's one of the reasons Windows 10 runs better. Microsoft paid a lot of attention to performance. The biggest thing, of course, with Windows 10 is the start menu's back. You wouldn't know that, but there was a brief interregnum after Windows 7 in which we had no start menu. Windows 8 has no start menu. It has a start page, which people universally hated. So I like Windows. I've been very happy with Windows 10. I should caution you, you got to wait till you have compatibility. You were right to ignore Sony.
Right.
They're out of the business. They don't care.
Well, I'm looking now at maybe picking up a new Skylake system when they become available.
Skylake's very nice, although we had hoped for more from Skylake. Skylake is the newest processor family from Intel. And usually on this phase of the tick-tock cycle, you'd get better performance on the processor. And it doesn't look like it's hugely better, nor is battery life hugely better. But graphics are, and that makes a big difference. So, yeah, I agree with you. Windows 10 is lightweight. It's but, you know, Windows has been like that for the last 3 versions. Each version has gotten successively faster. Windows 7 was much faster than Windows XP.
Right, and you know, I've kind of loaded on some of the, you know, I had an old copy of like Lightroom 3 or whatever it might be. So, you know, some old software I had on CD, and it gives you warnings like, oh, not supported.
Right.
You know,
they just don't want you to call them.
Exactly. So I pretty much went in there and clicked, install it anyway. You know, something that runs better than it run unsupported.
They just, as long as you have the right attitude. Hey, it's you know, I can always wipe the drive if it doesn't work. Let me try it. Yeah. That's a good attitude. What they don't want is, and Sony especially since they're out of the business, is you calling them saying, hey, this won't work. They don't want to go through a support nightmare with you. So it may well be they're perhaps a little aggressive in their recommendation. It's surprising that they're blanket saying don't do it. Because obviously it works fine. I'm glad it worked for you. I love Windows 10. I'm very happy with it. There are bugs. There are software compatibility and hardware compatibility issues. You should be aware of those. Run the compatibility checker before you try to use it. And there'll be big upgrades next month. Service Pack 1. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm welcoming back a sponsor we haven't seen in a while. I love that. When they come back. You remember Ting? We talked about Ting a lot. Oh, Ting has some great new stuff. So if you go to thetechguy.ting.com, you could take a look. Ting cuts your cellular phone service cost considerably. The average, get this, the average phone bill on Ting is $23. How much do you pay on your mobile phone a month? A lot. I immediately had them send me a SIM when I heard that. They offer it now on, before it was Sprint, now they have GSM network, T-Mobile and Sprint. They're so great. So they're reselling Sprint and T-Mobile service. But what's so great about them is it's just run the way you wish a phone company were run. No contracts, no overage fees, no pretend unlimited plans. You pay for what you use. If you're stuck in a contract right now, Ting will give you credit. If you're paying an ETF to come to Ting, they'll give you 25% of your early termination fee, up to $75 per device for coming to Ting. You can find out about that at ting.com/ETF. Your phone, your existing phone, probably can come to Ting. 80% of all devices can. But what you do is you can go, so if you want to bring your own device, go to thetechguy.ting.com and click the BYOD thing. You can enter in the identifier of your device and find out almost all devices will work just great with Ting. They also sell phones. So if you're ready for a new phone, you can get one, including the iPhone 6. Yes, they support iPhone. If you're getting a new iPhone, getting an unlocked one, you can put it right on Ting right away. And you get this amazing online account control panel that lets you know exactly what's going on. Ting is post-pay, so you don't pay ahead of time for stuff you may or may not use. You pay after the fact. And so the way it basically works is for your account, you can have many devices, $6 per device. $6 is a starting point. Then you pay for minutes, messages, and megabytes. But it ends up, the average cost of a Ting phone bill is $23 a phone. That's going to save you so much money because you only pay for what you use. And, of course, you always get voicemail, picture and voice messaging, three-way calling, caller ID. Yes, tethering is included for free, hotspot, and more for free. But the deal really is this is kind of clear and upfront pricing on your smartphone. And I'm so glad now they have T-Mobile and Sprint. As soon as I heard that, I immediately said, send me a SIM. I'm going to use it with my new iPhone. thetechguy.ting.com. If you go to that site, you'll save $25 on select devices or service just for getting started. Welcome back, Ting. We love you. We've always loved Ting. Use the savings calculator. You'll see how much you'll save. thetechguy.ting.com. And we thank them so much for their support of the Tech Guy podcast. I love these guys. They also, by the way, are offering, and this is new, but I'm excited about it, just as a kind of sideline. It's only in 2 cities in the United States, but I think it's going to grow. Gigabit fiber in Westminster, Maryland, and Charlottesville, Virginia. And they're expanding. This is they're a great company. I'm really happy to see them do gigabit. Oh, man, I wish I could get it. $89 a month. Symmetric gigabit in your home. I like it, though. Great company. Great people. TheTechGuy.ting, Ting.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, performing tech surgery. 8888, ask Leo the number. Philip is in Redwood City with our next call.
Yes,
Hi,
sir.
Philip. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm great. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Just had a question about Wi-Fi range extenders. I'm actually calling for my girlfriend. Her apartment, she's kind of got an in-law suite living situation. Doesn't have access to the router. It's in the house, so the signal's kind of coming through the wall.
Yeah.
Drops all the time, extremely weak. So I didn't know if there was something that you could purchase. I mean, I know there is.
Not without the would she get the cooperation of her landlord?
I think absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
They've been very helpful in everything else.
Okay.
I just wondered how that works.
Yeah, so it's very simple. The best way to do this, if you can, is to find a router. They call them Wi-Fi extenders for that particular model. In other words, match the model of the access point.
Oh, okay.
It's
Gotcha.
best if you do that. And then when you plug that extender in, the problem is it's, of course, going to have the same range that she has. So ideally, you'd put it kind of midway between the in-law and the house. Obviously, that's the backyard, not going to work.
Okay. Well, it's actually attached. It's
attached. Okay.
Yes.
Get the what you want to do. Ideally, the repeater would be halfway, right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
what you want is the repeater to have a good strong signal, and then from that point to her computer is a good strong signal.
Okay.
And if you can do that, and again, it's always going to take the cooperation of the owner of the access point. You can't extend
Sure.
somebody unless you have access to their
Sure.
router. But once you do that, most extenders, if it's the same brand, it should be pretty transparent. It'll say, would you like me to extend this network in many cases? And you say yes, and you're done. If it doesn't do that, what you're going to do is put that second device into bridge mode. That's the mode it's called, where it doesn't do any work. It's just a repeater. A radio repeater. It takes the signal that it gets and sends it out, and vice versa, and back again. And by doing so, boosts the signal to her. That does make a big difference. You may not need it if you can get them to move the access point. Radio frequency, RF, is kind of a black art, and you know, it's unpredictable. So it bounces off things. It may be, if it's an older house, that the walls present a real problem because Wi-Fi doesn't go well through walls.
Okay.
One way you could improve it is by offering them, hey, I'd like to buy you a new Wi-Fi router.
Okay.
It may be they have an old one. The newer ones are very good. I just bought and highly recommend it. It's not cheap. It's over $200. But it might be a great solution for all. I just bought the ASUS makes excellent routers, and I just bought their AC3200. It is a 3-band router, and this is one of the reasons it might work well for you. 2.4 gigahertz is the unlicensed spectrum that Wi-Fi began on. That's the frequency Wi-Fi. It's not really a single frequency, but that's the frequency area the Wi-Fi works in. There's actually 11 discrete frequencies within that 2.4 gigahertz range. Then later versions of Wi-Fi supported higher frequencies in the 5 gigahertz range. Some routers will actually have 2 different 5 gigahertz bands. Now, 5 gigahertz is not as good as going through walls, but it's faster, and it has some other advantages. If she has a newer computer and that router's a few years old, in fact, getting a newer router based on the 802.11ac standard, that's the newest standard, could actually do everything you want without an extender.
Oh, okay. That might be good.
Yeah, so a little homework. If her landlord will tell you what kind of router, most people, I think, just use the router that the internet service provider gave them. And those are almost always old and not good.
Right. Yeah. I think that's probably the case.
Sure, because they don't know. So they go, well,
What about
go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was just saying, what about the price difference? There seems to be a wide variety of price differences on these range extenders from like $20 to over $100. Is there some
Matt, see if they have like do you know what the service is? Verizon, Comcast, Cox? What is?
I'm pretty sure it's Comcast or
Comcast.
Xfinity. Yeah.
Yeah. So Comcast will give you a Wi-Fi box. It's not so very good.
Right.
It'd be almost better instead of trying an How far away from the access point is she?
I'm not sure how the house is laid out. All I've ever seen is just the inside of her place.
Yeah, right. So putting the access point in a better place. If the walls have metal in them, that's what is the biggest deterrent to Wi-Fi. It bounces off metal. It'll go through plaster, and it'll go through drywall pretty much almost transparently.
Okay.
But if there's metal in the plaster, if there's metal in the wall, if it's an older house, for instance, a lot of times there's metal in there. That can cause a problem. There's one other thing you can do. If she's on their power, and they're all on the same junction box, they have one box that they're on, which is single-family homes generally the case. You can use Powerline adapters.
Okay.
Now, you'll have to get in their house. You'll have to give them this and say, plug this in and plug the Comcast router into the back of it. And then she plugs in one on her end, and it can be a Wi-Fi access point. Or it can be hardwired if she only has one thing and hardwire is fine. I've been using those. They don't give you as much speed as if you were connected directly to the router with a wire, but they give you 19 or 20 megabits. They give you plenty of speed for that, for surfing. So maybe
I'll go the new router thing. Maybe I'll offer that up.
Yeah, so those are three choices. New router is probably easier than getting especially if they're using the Xfinity box.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Maybe the Niners can turn the day around.
Oh, Lord, don't tell me. I don't even want to. I saw the score at the half, and I'm not even paying attention. Are you? Well, you're in Redwood City. Of course, you're a Niners fan.
Redwood City. I'm a transplant I'm from Kentucky, but I'm in Redwood City now.
All right. Well, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
I hope your team wins, lady. Thanks. Thanks. Take care, Philip.
Thank you. All right, you too.
Punchline to an old and bad and somewhat dirty joke. So I probably shouldn't have said that, except if you recognized it, then you know the joke. So hope your team wins, lady. Shared utilities for apartments are illegal in many jurisdictions. So if she's paying her own electrical, this won't work. But if they pay the electrical, and a lot of times with in-laws that's the case, then Powerline's awesome. I really was skeptical. And for years, I was right to be skeptical, but the latest Powerline networking is pretty good. Not as fast as having an Ethernet wire, but pretty good. And, it's in their interest, if they want to continue to rent this in-law unit, to make sure that the Internet's good. Isn't that, after all, at least maybe it's just me. It seems like that's the number. Forget running water. You got to have hot and cold running Internet. Jim in Atlanta, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Leo. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm calling on Hangouts. How do I sound?
Oh, you sound great. You actually sound better than on a phone. It's clean. There's no background noise. That's good.
That's a great time to be alive. Hey, listen, you want to hear something weird?
Yeah.
I've been using Windows 10 for about 2 months now. I love it. It's a great program. But for some reason, and I'm using the client like you advised. I've got an admin, and then I work off the client.
Okay.
But the last time I logged in, my password didn't work. So I kept punching in passwords, trying to figure out what was going on. And I look on the screen and I see that in addition to my username up there, it's got my Gmail address. So just, out of a hunch, I tried my Google password and it logged on.
What? So is that your Microsoft account? Did you use a Microsoft account to create the password? Or did you create a unique... Like the old way.
Unique password.
So the best way to do is use a Microsoft account. And obviously it's fallen back in some strange way to the Microsoft account.
Yeah, but it worries me that...
that it knows your Google password? I don't blame you. Let me think about that. We got to take a break. I'm going to cogitate. Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So, here's a little song I wrote. I hope you'll sing it note for note. Don't worry, be geeky. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Jim in Atlanta was on the line, and I guess you're still there, right, Jim?
I'm here.
Weird.
It's freaking me out. I'm thinking my security may have been compromised.
Well, I don't think. I mean, yes and no. Clearly, Microsoft knows your Google password. They don't necessarily. I'm not sure how this is working.
I don't either.
So you logged in, and here's the first thing I'll talk about. This is Windows 10, right?
Correct.
Yeah. With the new Windows 10, Microsoft's wanted you to do this since Windows 8, but they really kind of urgently want you to use your Microsoft account to log in. If you don't want to, there's a way not to. And if the computer's not online, it obviously won't work.
It's not my Microsoft account number. I got a Microsoft account after upgrading to Windows 10 because I bought Office for the.
It makes it easier. So when you log in, do you normally use your Microsoft account?
No.
Okay.
And my Google password is not the same as my Microsoft.
No, of course not. Is your Google account linked to your Microsoft account? Do you have it set up when you go to your Microsoft account that it gets mail from Google or anything like that?
No. I get all my email on Gmail and have it forwarded, but I don't have a Microsoft account forwarded to it.
Yeah. So at no point did you give Microsoft your Google login. I don't mean the password. The way it works, it's a little confusing, I admit. There's something called OAuth and you may be seeing this when you sign into something using a Facebook or Google or Twitter account. Briefly, it looks like you've gone to Google, you log in at Google, and that's safe because you are in fact logging in through Google, and then it sends a token back to the originating site or application saying, yeah, he is who he says he is, and he can use his Google account to log in. That's a nice system that's safe and it's used web-wise. I've never heard of it being used, OAuth being used to log into Windows 10, however.
Well, here's a clue, and the reason that I thought to try my Google password is because in addition to my Windows username, below it was my Gmail address.
Right.
And I don't remember that being there either.
So you never supplied that when... I would look at your Microsoft. Go log into your Microsoft account. See what accounts are connected. See if you at any point connected your Gmail account to your Microsoft account.
Well, that's the password, that's the email address that I use for my Windows, for my Microsoft account.
Oh, okay. So you are using your Gmail account address as your Microsoft login.
Yes.
Got it. But you have a different password, obviously, for your Microsoft account.
Correct. All my passwords are a formula, based on the site that I'm logging in. So they are always different.
I think I'm going to have to look at this, but first of all, Microsoft would not know your Google password. So the fact that worked tells me that I would go to, login.live.com, check on your Microsoft account, see what connections you've made.
Right. And I did I did renew it just last week, so that you might be onto something there.
Yeah, I think that's probably okay. You can, of course, use your Gmail account to log in to your Microsoft account, but it should have a Microsoft password, obviously.
It does, yeah.
And the fact that it's using your Gmail password is, I understand, a little confusing. So
you don't think there's a security issue?
No.
Okay. Well, that's what I was meant.
Yeah. Somehow things have.
I don't care as long as I know the password to log on. As long as I haven't been compromised.
No, I don't believe that's the case.
Leo, you are a better tech guy than.
Well, I'm puzzled. And we'll get to the bottom of this, Jim, because we have a lot of smart tech people in the chat room, and they're thinking about it. They're working on it. Our best guess is that you at some point connected the two, and you have a token from Microsoft, and that you're validating, believe it or not, with Google when you're logging in. I would change that. But I use an Outlook.com login for my Windows 10. I don't use my Gmail account. I'm guessing because you didn't have a Microsoft account when you set it up.
No, and I don't want to use Outlook.
Gmail. You don't have to. Right. My guess is you didn't have a Microsoft account when you set up your Windows 10. You attached it to your, I think it must have attached to your Gmail account. I can't, that's the only thing I can't. But
and then I made a Microsoft account when I bought Office 365.
Yeah, but you're not using that to log into Windows 10.
No.
Yeah, I think it's set up to use your Gmail login. That's just the way it was. You should probably change that to use your Microsoft login at this point. It won't change anything.
As long as I haven't been compromised, I'm not going to mess with it.
Okay, yeah. I don't believe you. I don't know what anybody would gain from doing that. I don't think that's happened.
Well, I thought they might have just gotten confused, and mess with it.
I think you're safe. I'm going to give you the seal of approval, but keep listening, Jim, because maybe somebody's going to call in and say, "Oh no, I know what happened." But that's not. By the way, strong suggestion. If you use a Microsoft account, a Gmail account, in both cases, you can turn on what they call two-factor authentication. You want to secure your primary email account. You really need to do that, because if that gets compromised, then all a bad guy does is go to all your other accounts, including your bank, and say, "Oh, I forgot my password. Would you email a reset to me?" And if he has access to your email, your main email, he's got access to everything. So it's really important to super secure both your Microsoft and your Gmail account. I use Google a lot, so I've done a few things. First of all, there is a Google security check. I highly recommend you run through it. If you Google security check, you'll go right to it. And one of the things they're going to say is you should set up a phone number to recover your account. Should a bad guy somehow guess your Google password and steal your account, change the password, that phone number is your lifeline, because you can get Google to call it and reset the password. And he doesn't have your phone. The bad guy can't do that. You should also turn on two-factor authentication. That means the first time you log onto a Google account on a computer or a device, you'll have to supply a additional six-digit code in addition to your password. That code is generated either by a text message to you, by a phone call to you. You can actually have them automated robocall you, and it'll go 6, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or put an authenticator app, and there's some really good ones, on your smart device. I use one called Authy, A-U-T-H-Y. Highly recommend it. It works on every device. It's very easy to use. It's cross-platform, so you can have all of your authenticators in there. And I use two-factor authentication everywhere. Anywhere that allows it. That includes Twitter, Facebook, Google, Outlook, your Microsoft account. You got to figure as a person in public pretending to be a technology guy, I am a target. Bad guys would love to steal my Twitter account. I get almost every day. I get somebody reset it, I love getting those emails. We see you want to reset your Facebook email. No, I don't. That's some person saying, let me see if I can but I don't know what, they're dumb. They'd have to get my email. But that's why you keep your email super secure. So you might imagine I'm somebody who is often a target of hackers, but everybody should do this. No, I've never been compromised, and I think that's one of the reasons it's hard to compromise my accounts, because I use two-factor authentication. Strongly suggest you do that. And there's, of course, all those other important rules, like don't reuse your password. Use a good, strong, long, random password. I loved hearing what you said, Jim. You have a way of generating passwords. That's good. Think of a song lyric and then add your childhood phone number or zip code. Really make it, long. The longer, the better. The more random, the better. And frankly, truly random is better than made-up random. But numbers, upper and lowercase, punctuation, mix it up. And then my strong suggestion is to go out and get a password vault, because all of those long random passwords are going to be hard to remember. Jim has a way of kind of manufacturing them, which is good. But be careful, because that means it's not completely random. I use LastPass. There's Dashlane. There's 1Password, RoboForm AI. There are lots of good choices. Those password vaults keep track of all your passwords, generate good, strong, long, random passwords for you to use, and they help you not do the one really most dangerous thing, which is reuse passwords. Do not reuse passwords. But that two-factor makes a big difference, because even if a bad guy gets your password, he has to have your phone too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls to come right after this. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to say jai-ho to everybody in the world. If you're listening to this, you can call me at 8888 Ask Leo and ask a question, make a comment, make a suggestion. Help our previous callers if you've got an idea. I'd love to hear from you. 888-827-5536. The website is techguylabs.com. You'll find all the questions and all the answers there, audio and video of the show too after the fact. techguylabs.com. That's free. No sign up, no fee. It's just like the web used to be. You just walk in and you say hello, and you can. And by the way, if you want to leave a comment there, that's another great place to kind of put your 2 cents in. We've divided the page up into show by show, and then within the show, hour by hour, and then within the hour, question by question, so you can drill right down to the question and help us out. techguylabs.com. In about half an hour, our photo guy, Chris Marquardt, will join us, talk about digital photography and getting the most out of it. techguylabs.com. Joe in Gardena, California is next. Hi, Joe.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just want to thank you for Twit. I'm trying to get to all those 1,200 episodes.
You're talking about our podcast network. I do, but after the weekend is over and I'm done with the radio shows, I do another, 20 shows, it feels like, a week, all about tech. Thank you. Yeah, and you listen to those. I appreciate that. Twit is the name of the show.
That Twit show, your office is so awesome. It's unbelievable. I can't believe it.
Welcome to my lair. I have a little tech museum behind me, which is funny because this is the radio. But I like the original iPhone, the original Android phone, which was an HTC G1, people might remember. I go back to the Newton there, the first netbook. I've even got an in-car MP3 player that predates the iPod, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's fun. You know what? I've been doing this for so long. I've collected all this junk. Some of it I've passed along, but enough of it sticks that I've got to put it somewhere.
You got to put it somewhere. And I tried to do that, and I can't do that.
I would love to build this into the side of a mountain. Then I could have a super villain lair. And I could just emerge from it from time to time. What can I do for you today?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for Windows 10. You've helped me not make a fatal mistake here with that.
You stuck with 8 or 7?
I'm on 8.1, and I'm deciding what I'm going to do next. So I've listened to all your advice, and I wrote it down and made notes. So I think I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, some people love it. I love it. I've also heard a number of tales of woe. You shouldn't upgrade prematurely. You should make sure that it supports everything that you're using, obviously.
That's scary.
Yeah.
In the old days, you remember what happened in the old days, and you go, oh, this driver doesn't work, that.
Yeah.
I'm old school. I've been listening to you for a long time, Leo.
We've been through this, haven't we? I started doing call-in computer help, believe it or not, when it was Windows 3.0.
I remember.
In the early 90s. And people were just as much using DOS 5 as they were using Windows at that time. So I've been through a few operating system upgrades. I wish I had. It would be fun to have one computer that's been through every version of Windows. There was a guy who did that. I mean, obviously, you need a more modern computer nowadays to run the later versions. So he started with a modern computer, put Windows 1 on it, and then upgraded it. It did not go well.
Oh, yeah.
You really should do a clean install once in a while.
Exactly. Anyways, what I wanted to ask you is I created a site called noparkticket.com.
No park ticket? What is that for? Parking tickets?
Well, it's actually, you put your information about parking, street sweeping, any other information.
It's a
comment.
Kind of a community information site.
Right, and it goes into the database, and the other link, you click it, and people can pull that information out immediately on.
It's like Waze for parking. I like that.
Except this is going to be real time. I mean, you just it has Google autocomplete, and you got to try it out. NoParkTicket.com. But I found some funding sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and GoFundMe.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, how am I going to get people to go to that? There's so much out there. I mean, I'm trying to keep up with programming since the 86, and I'm trying to keep up with the new stuff, and I don't know how the heck you do it.
Well, crowdfunding is great. Crowdfunding is the new stuff, isn't it? I mean, for a long time, you had to have a sugar daddy. If you want, wow, I mean, for almost everything, even for media, you couldn't publish a book unless you had a publisher. You couldn't write for a magazine or a newspaper unless you got a job at a magazine or a newspaper. You couldn't do a radio show unless you talked somebody at a radio station into letting you do that. And believe me, that was hard. It was the hardest thing I ever did. Imagine just straight out of college saying, "Please, would you let me have a radio show?" Wasn't easy. Nowadays, you got the internet. You can make a podcast. You can have a blog. You can put something on YouTube, have your own TV show. And you know what? If it's good, oftentimes you'll rise to the top and you don't need anybody. You don't need a publisher. You don't need a record label. You don't need anything. But the one thing that we do kind of miss, especially from a publisher and a record label, is marketing. See, the publisher, now, of course, the publisher doesn't need to get you in bookstores anymore, do they? Anybody can get on Amazon, and that's the bookstore. You don't have to get into an actual bookstore. But when I've written 13 books, I don't write them anymore because, well, I'm tired. But I wrote them for a big publisher, Q, which did a lot of computer books. And what they would do is they had a lot of clout, and they'd go to a bookstore and they'd say, "You're going to carry this book from Leo." And sometimes they'd even give the bookstore a little money, and they'd put it at what call an end cap. You know, at the end of the bookshelves, at the end of the row, there'd be a little display with your book in there. Those things you don't need anymore. On the other hand, if you're, I guess record labels, musicians would, the record label go to a radio station and say, "Will you play this, please?" They'd help you promote it. I don't know how valuable that all was. The other thing, of course, is capital. It used to be that you needed hundreds of thousands of dollars to record an album. Not anymore. You could do it on your computer. You needed a printing press to have a newspaper. That's not cheap. You had to have a radio tower and a transmitter to do a radio station, not to mention the FCC license. All of that was expensive. And so the people who controlled the media were rich people. So one of the things I love about the internet is how democratizing it is. And we've, for the most part, figured out solutions to the marketing and capital problem. I mean, one thing, of course, is it's cheaper and cheaper than ever to produce content. Make a website almost costs nothing. But if you need some money, you can go to these crowdfunding sites. And you mentioned the big ones, GoFundMe, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, but there are many, many more than that. The problem is they got that marketing problem again, because there's thousands of exciting, interesting projects on Kickstarter, let's say. But how do you get the attention? How do you get somebody to go there to give you money? They may not even know about it. I mean, of course, if Kickstarter features you, you're golden. But how do you get that to happen? I think it's a lot of legwork. Social media has solved some of that marketing problem. You can reach people. You get your community, your network of people to help promote you. You gotta be ingenious. Be a little bit guerrilla, maybe. Figure out ways. The guys, when they started Reddit, Alexis Ohanian and Steve Huffman, when they started Reddit, they just recently admitted this. They created a bunch of fake accounts. And then because they needed stuff, right? So they put stuff up there with fake accounts. They go to other forums and say, "I can't believe this Reddit. This is insane." And people say, "What is that?" And they'd go and they'd check it out. You got to be creative. You got to market. There's no shortcut to it. People who are good at it seem to do better. But you also have to create a useful website, a great article, great video. That's the key. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So yeah, somebody wants to, I get tweets all the time from somebody who says, "Could you retweet my GoFundMe campaign?" My Twitter feed would be just nothing but people begging for money if I did that. So, but I understand why they're doing that. They need to get the word out. That's why people call the radio show and plug their sites. We try it. I mean, people get desperate, and I understand that. Hey, let's quickly talk about Epson. EPSON.com if you want to find out about their new Workforce Pro printers, which are amazing. Let's take a look at the new Workforce Pro. These are powered by an industrial engine that was originally not available for consumers, called Precision Core. 40 million dots per second. 40 million dots per second. And the dots aren't all the same. These are picoliters, nanoliters, little tiny drips of different sizes, so you get exactly the right amount of ink in exactly the right spot to give you high-quality, high-speed printing. The colors are vibrant and bright. The text is clear and crisp and easy to read. And it's one of the fastest inkjet printing technologies in the world. I mean, I'm not kidding. When I print to my Workforce Pro, I think this is the one I have, actually. Yeah, the 4640. When I print to this, one page just goes, and it's out. I mean, that's my impression of my printer. And it's out. The page is out already. It is so awesome. Great printers, really amazing kind of magical technology. And if you're thinking about, you want to do a color laser, you want color, can I recommend taking a look at these Workforce Pro printers? You're going to get much more energy efficient printer. You could print on a much wider range of media, including Avery labels, things like that. And unlike laser printers, there's no warm-up time. So when I send to my printer, and by the way, it's so cool because it supports both Google Print services, the Cloud Print, and Apple's AirPrint. So I could print from any mobile device in the house. And it goes to the printer. The printer's on Wi-Fi. There's the page. Boom. Boom, like that. This is the next generation of inkjet performance, way beyond laser. Unbelievable. Epson is just doing the best work ever. I am so happy to be part of the Epson family, and I want to encourage you to give it a try. Epson, EPSON.com. It's all we use. Epson, built to perform. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris Marquardt, our whole digital photography guy, coming up in just a little bit. But let's get back to the phones. Jill is in Jasper, Georgia. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I certainly hope you can help me. But I have a question first.
Okay.
Do you sing?
What?
Do you sing?
Do I sing? No, I don't sing. That's my answer. I'll sing for you, and you can tell me. No, you do not sing, Leo. I like to sing a lot, and I do sing a lot, and every time I do, people say, shut up. So I'm taking that as a vote, not to sing. I'll do you a favor. I won't sing. I will answer your tech question, though.
Okay, well, I did something. See, I have this philosophy that if you push enough buttons, you can do anything.
We call that button mashing.
Yes. However, I think I pushed one button too many, and
I am a firm believer that if nothing else works, smash those buttons and just cross your fingers. Never doesn't really. That usually doesn't work so well, but it's satisfying.
It does for me. I have found out some really cool stuff because.
Are you one of those people? I bet you are. In fact, are you one of those people? You stand in an elevator, and if the elevator doesn't come right away, you tap the button. Because I do that.
No, I usually go push the button on a different elevator.
I'll just stand there and go tap 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 tap. Same thing at a crosswalk. If the button and we have talking buttons here, and after you start tapping, it goes wait. Wait. No, but I'm in a hurry. Wait. So they must not be uncommon for people to over tap. What did you mash and what happened?
Well, I had a wireless router and it was kicking me off the internet, so I just unplugged it and, put it to the side. So eventually I got around to getting another wireless router. I plugged it in. And the first time it worked, and then I was pushing buttons.
Uh-oh.
And then I think the router itself stopped working because it stopped getting a blue light, and it went to just an amber light, and then it went to no light. So I got another router.
Oh, my goodness. You are ruthless. You don't work? Get out of here. Next, you're fired.
Right. I'll tell you, I am not a pack rat. So I got a third router, and this is in about a month.
Yeah.
And it has a blue light, but my internet and my computer will not connect wirelessly to the router.
But there is a blue light. That's a start.
Yes. That is good.
Okay. So router dropping you from time to time, it can be absolutely can be a problem with a router. And in fact, I recently did the same thing. I had an Airport Extreme, which I've recommended in the past. They're very expensive from Apple, $170 router. And it just kept dropping. I was okay. It didn't drop me very much, but my wife, it kept dropping. And you know, my wife would just she'd say, Leo, fix the internet. It keeps dropping. But that's fine for me. It's dropping me. So finally I realized, all right, I'm getting a new router. I did exactly what you did. I unplugged the Airport Extreme, put it by the side. Nice little router, but you're retired. And I went out and got a brand new Asus. I mentioned this earlier, AC3200. These are expensive routers. I don't think cheap routers are good. Nowadays, I'm starting to think you got to spend a little money, maybe around $150 to $200. But this thing works like a champ and never drops, and is probably twice as fast as the old one. So I've been very happy. Now, it also could be the conditions. It could be a hostile environment. So
when I was trying to figure out the second router, if it was me or it. I went in and I pushed buttons and I did all kinds of stuff inside my computer.
That generally, by the way, if you're really pushing buttons and you just don't know what you're doing, it's not the chance of that actually making a difference is small. Do you kind of know what you're doing?
I figured out a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Every so often I run into one of these situations.
So what kind of routers are you getting?
Belkin.
Okay. Belkin is hit or miss because they just relabel routers they get from Chinese manufacturers. Some of them are quite good, but some of them are not. Are they cheap?
Well, this one didn't cost me anything because I set up a hoop and a holler.
I want my money back. I want my money back.
I can just send me another one.
Yeah. But I'm concerned that this is happening with a lot of different routers.
Well, I think that the first one, I had it a while. And so
they wear out. What a router is really is a cheap computer, and they can overheat, they can wear out, and they can just be also superannuated. They're old because, times change. Just like a 5-year-old laptop might not work quite as well. A router is just a small, dumb computer.
And then the second one, the blue light went away, so I figured it was dead.
I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
So now I have the third one, and it's sitting here, and the blue light is on. But
you have a manual somewhere, and maybe it's online. But do you have a manual for this?
Yes, and okay. I have followed the manual. And
what is the blue light? Is that the power light? Does the manual say that's what that is?
The blue light says that it is connected to the internet.
See, okay. So routers have a number of lights. There's a power light, of course, but the light that says I'm connected to the internet is a very important light because that means that you've made a connection to the internet service provider and that there's been a little transaction and everything seems to be going well. If you don't see that light, then you're not making a connection to your ISP. And by the way, it could be the ISP that's at fault this whole time. So, good. Blue light, nice. Then there should be next to the blue light some blinky lights.
This one has, when it is connected to the internet, the blinky lights go away.
They don't show up at all.
Right.
So the blinky lights are signifying the handshake. Usually, maybe it's not on the front, but it's on the back, but usually there's a light that blinks when data is being sent and received. Usually 2 lights, one for sending, one for receiving. But you may not, maybe this Belkin doesn't have those. I'd like to see blinky lights showing that data is coming and going. And now you have a laptop or a computer that you sign in, you've set up the network. Did you actually go in and configure the network on the router?
Well, see, that's what I don't know because it was configured before. Now I went, like I said, when the second router was giving me fits, then I went in and did something. I don't know if I deleted something that I shouldn't have deleted, and I don't know what I deleted and how to get it back if I need it.
It sounds like kind of a mess. And I'm afraid because I can't see what you've done and what's going on. It's kind of hard for me. I'm trying to imagine what you've done, but I can't really. I wish I could reach through the radio and do this for you.
Well, there was at some point there was a message that said something about networking error, and I had just played with the networking settings, and then
I don't know if I can help you, only because it really needs somebody there on site. If there's somebody around that you could actually have come over and configure this, it's just very hard for me to know what's going on here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I would love to hold on a second. Let me see if I can help you off the air. So now we're just the two of us. Are you still there? Oh, she hung up. Well, I'll never be able to help her now. It's, shoot, I was going to try to walk you through some diagnostics, but I'm sorry, I wasn't very helpful. She seemed so nice. We never found anything more. I think exactly what I was going to suggest. Let's do a factory reset, which means, and it'll be in your manual. Usually it's holding, there's a reset button in the back that you have to poke with a pencil or a pen. And you'll do that. You'll turn on the router or plug, actually best is to unplug it, let it sit, plug it in while you're holding that button for 15 seconds. You should see blinky on the front. And then you'll have to have it all set up. It'll go back to the defaults. Then you want to log in, and I was going to go through the setup of a Wi-Fi router, but I don't know. I feel bad. Is there something I should have done differently? Could I have helped her? I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. Another one bites the dust. What do you want to talk about, Chris?
Pottery.
Okay.
It's just a little surprise, but I've given up on photography. I'm now making pots and things and cups.
I was
and
thinking of doing
plates.
that as well.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to just go off somewhere and start herding sheep and making pots and things?
I fantasize about that daily. I just want to go somewhere where the climate is warm and I can go in the ocean and I don't have to wear any clothes.
Mm-hmm. Sounds
no
nice
stress,
too. You should try this in Donegal, Ireland. It's freezing cold there.
No, too cold. No.
You should see the Irish though. They're so used to the weather.
Yeah.
That out at temperatures where you and I would probably wear like big jumpers and things, they're out there short sleeves and they just don't get cold.
I don't mind it.
It's amazing.
Because I've got a little Irish warmer in my tummy. It's called whiskey. It warms you up. You just drink a little of this.
That might actually be one of the explanations there. Yeah.
Maybe you should buy an island in the Caribbean. The problem is not so much going there. The problem is eating after you get there. I guess if I could fish.
It's the shopping is a problem, yeah. There's no coffee shops around.
I can't now. I'm hog-tied. I cannot. In fact, I better not die.
Okay, that's a term I don't know. Hog-tied.
Hog-tied.
I'm looking it up right now.
I can't. I have so many dependents now.
Oh, the dependencies. Yeah, I know.
That I can't. If someday
you wouldn't though.
I disappear,
is such a nice thing.
And they say we don't know what happened to him. He went out to
we'll
get
have to look in the Caribbean.
Loaf of bread, and he never returned.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know that I'm somewhere on a beach, happy.
Sounds lovely.
Mama, don't take that Kodachrome. Mama, don't take Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And it's time for Chris Marquardt, the photo guy. He's here to talk digital photography with us, as he does most weeks. He's the host of the Tips from the Top Floor podcast. He does some great workshops at discoverthetopfloor.com, and he's always an inspiration. Hello, Chris Marquardt.
Hello, Leo. I've just, by the way, remade the Discover the Top Floor website. So if anyone wants to go there, see new pictures and new tours and things coming up.
Do you do that all by yourself, or do you have a webmaster?
I'm a web guy. I used to be a web guy by trade, so yes, I know how to do these things.
I'm impressed.
Kind of. I'm not doing it for money anymore, though. That's.
Do you use a like WordPress, or what do you use?
No, for that side, it's actually Rapid Weaver, which is kind of a program that lets you put things together with different plugins on. What the code that comes out is very good, though. I mean, it's really...
Yeah, I used to use Microsoft Front Page, and the code that came out of that is unusable.
Oh, that was horrible.
I learned my lesson.
It's like Front Page, just better.
Yeah. This is great.
I
used
to write HTML in VI, so I know how to do most of that.
Hand-coded.
Handmade
website.
But I'm not here to talk about web design. I wanted to talk about something a bit different today. You know, what are the things that hold you back as a photographer? I'm not sure if you've been there, but I've certainly been at a point where I was doing photography, but I didn't really feel it anymore. You know, like after a certain amount of time you play with the cameras and with the different things, you end up, or some photographers end up kind of being in a rut, you know, not really knowing
it's drudgery.
Where to go.
It becomes drudgery.
Yeah.
And that happens with all creatives. After, you know, sometimes it turns into work and you want it to be fun.
Right. And the question is, what's holding photographers back? And it can be that, or it can be the fear to make mistakes. That is often in all sorts of creative jobs.
That
is something that's...
Yes.
Yeah, the fear to make a mistake. I see people would rather have more gear than less because of the fear of making a mistake, by not having the right lens and things like that. And... you know, not having everything will force you to be creative. And I just came across a wonderful book called Art and Fear. It's by David Bales and by Ted Orland. It's about making art. It's been on the market for a while. And it's also about why art gets made and why art sometimes doesn't get made and why artists sometimes give up.
I'm always impressed by working artists, and sometimes the freedom that they exhibit. I say, you're so free. You just create, and I think that is not something so easy to get to.
Well, and there's sometimes a misconception that there are photographers who go out, take one Pulitzer Prize winning photo, and are famous. That's not how it works.
That I know. I've been around enough great photographers to know they are amazingly hard workers. That's a real key.
Here's an example from that book that is I've seen it quoted a few times, but I thought it would be good to bring it here. And it's about pottery. Now, it does have to do with art. So there's this teacher, and he has a pottery class, and every year he does the same thing. He splits the class in two, into a group A and a group B. And he tells group A that they will be graded only on quantity. So at the end of the term, he would bring his bathroom scales, and then they weigh their pottery, and those who made the most pots would get the highest grade, and so on. And then Group B is told, you will only be graded on the quality of your work, and you can only turn in one single pot at the end of the term, but it's got to be perfect. Now, the interesting thing is, every time that teacher did this experiment, the result was exactly the same. The by far better quality pots came from Group A.
Yeah, because they were free. They just created.
They had no fear of failing because they pretty much were given the option to fail. They didn't have to turn in anything that was any good, so they could practice, make mistakes, become better, and they also worked a lot because with this assignment, he also forced them to work hard, to practice. So if you want to kind of transfer this into photography, I'm a great fan of shooting lots. I'm a great fan of spending time with photography, even if you're not working for a result, even if it's just exercises. Bring your camera with you somewhere where you wouldn't normally not bring the camera. Take photos of of simple things, take photo of non-spectacular things. This is all practice. So for that one point when the pink elephant is flying by your house and you'll
be ready.
Need to get the shot. You'll be ready. You'll have the tools ready to do so. Do lots of photography. It's a good thing to spend time and to exercise a lot.
I love that idea because it frees you, right? And digital photography is so well suited to this because there's no cost to taking more pictures.
Absolutely. It's just your time. And if you want to put that in, hey, you will become a better photographer by doing it.
I love it. All right. So here's a chance to take more pictures. Next week, right? Next week, you think? We're going to review our photos?
Next week.
What is our assignment?
The current assignment is harvest.
Harvest. I'm writing this down as if I will go out there and take pictures, but I'm scared because there's so many good photographers out there, and I just don't think I can live up to it.
No, I'm hereby giving everyone permission to be a bad photographer.
Would you grade me by weight? Not quality.
Weight of what? The camera, the weight of the camera.
Number of megapixels. I want to be graded on the number of pixels I hand in, not the quality of the image.
We should do this once. Yeah, we should try this for one of the future assignments.
All right, harvest.
Count every pixel by hand.
We're not going to tell you what that means. You have to think about how you would illustrate the concept harvest. And one of the fun things about these assignments, first of all, there's no prize, there's no award. It's just an excuse to take pictures. To do, as Chris says, make more pots. But the fun thing about it is how varied and widely interpreted the assignment can be. Sometimes the picture you have to really look at and say, what does that have to do with anything? That's fine. That's fine. But try to think of the word harvest. What does that mean? Take an image. You can do as many as you want, but submit one a week to our Flickr group. It's called the Tech Guy Group. You'll know you're in the right place because there's like 10,000 members. It's a huge number. It's mind-boggling. And lots of photographs. Renee Silverman is our moderator. She'll accept your picture. She'll welcome you in. Make sure you put the tag harvest in the metadata for the picture. Flickr's free, costs nothing to join. In fact, if you're a serious photographer, you probably should have a free Flickr account anyway because they have lots of backup and stuff. It's a great place to get comments and suggestions for your photography. Harvest. Maybe I'll do it this time.
Well, I'm trying to.
I'm going to make more pots.
Let's go make pots.
Let's not worry so much about how shapely they are. Just make more pots.
Yep.
And I just ordered the book, Art and Fear, Observations on the Perils and Rewards of Art Making by David Bales. It's only $8 on Amazon. There's an audiobook version of it as well if you like to listen. Thank you, Chris Marquardt, as always.
Absolutely.
You'll find Chris at discoverthetopfloor.com. What's your next workshop? You just back from Donegal, Ireland?
I'll be in the United States in October, and then in January, which is kind of the big one coming up, is Ethiopia, back to the cradle of mankind.
You know, my friend Trey Ratcliffe, I don't know how he did this, just came back from Papua New Guinea.
Oh, I want to go there one day.
I mean, talk about remote. He went in there and he said, I just smiled broadly, showed him my camera, said, let's take some pictures. He got pictures of some of the most primitive people on the earth and amazing photos. And I hope that he's going to post them somewhere. His website's Stuck in Customs. Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting?
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chris Marquardt. DiscoverTheTopFloor.com. You'll find links and information on our website, TechGuyLabs.com. And we'll be back next week talking about harvest, whatever that means to you. You can take pictures of lots of pots. Harvest your pots. No, not that kind. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Mike B says, where in the U.S.? You're going to be in New York, right?
I'll be in San Diego and in New York City, yes.
But it's probably both are probably sold out by now.
I think San Diego has one or two.
Go to discoverthetopfloor.com, Mike B, and see.
It's the best place to find out.
Yeah.
And pot harvest is something different for sure.
Whoops. That just came out wrong. Oh, well. Do you use stacks with Rapid Weaver?
Yes, I do.
Of
course you do. They just got into the Joe Workman makes the stacks thing. He just did a great update do. But it's actually fun to play with this stuff.
And then it's plain HTML that you can put on a website, or do you need?
It exports, uploads to the server.
Does it need plugins, or we'll work on Apache?
Well, yeah, you will buy certain plugins, but the basic system comes with a lot of stuff already. But I think I've probably poured a couple of $100 into plugins and updates so far.
That's not bad.
To get some of the functionality, like the slider on top, that the picture slider you see. And
I'll have to take a look at that.
It is fun. It is pretty good. And then you have a site, and then you push it out. And when you update something locally, it is very similar to.
Oh, it's Real Mac. I know Real Mac.
Yeah. And,
I've used their stuff for a long time. I used Real Basic for years.
And the model is very similar to, what was the Microsoft thing called again?
Front page.
Front page. As in you do this on your computer, and then you push it out. Yeah. And when you make a change locally, you push it out again. But I've used it to do like interactive PHP sites where I enter my own code in the site and that kind of stuff. If you go to a workshop page on my website, an individual page, that is a PHP page that goes into the database and pulls out information from a MySQL database. So that's the kind of stuff that I do with it.
So these are the add-ons that you would sometimes get for free, sometimes
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Still, you have to play with it. You have to spend time.
So it looks like it's a pretty vital ecosystem. It's been around for a while.
It is, absolutely, yeah.
Oh. Nice. All right. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Absolutely.
See
Talk to you again next
week. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Hey, what was Steve Martin asking you last week? Did you get
Nothing.
He was just bah out loud on
He's
Twitter.
cute. I love Steve.
Oh, of course.
He is a sweetheart. Yeah, I sent him an email saying, "Is there anything I can do?" He said, "No, I was just
messing around on the Twitter."
He did give me his tale of woe, though, which was extensive. Poor guy.
Okay.
But it's just kind of a generalized. He's so it's funny. He doesn't want to bother me. I think.
That's so weird.
Or maybe
I'm
he
like,
just doesn't
Steve
want
Martin, if you're listening, please bother me. I still think he's so adorable.
He is listening. He listens to the show. He's always talking about the show.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, call me.
I told him, I said, hey, I will be, because I asked him advice on hearing aids. So I said, I'm glad to reciprocate anytime.
He was my first crush.
Really? Somebody posted a picture, like a Throwback Thursday picture of himself, but it was really Steve when he was very young and very handsome.
Yeah, like all my little friends were into, Tiger Beat, teen, this and that.
He was gorgeous. It was before his hair was white. It was really a good looking fella.
3-piece suit, arrow through your head. What's not to
and
love?
Funny, right? Isn't that what all
Girls
women
like to
want?
laugh.
All women want to laugh. Not at all times.
Right.
Not after you've taken your clothes off, but
I love.
It's okay to laugh, just don't point and laugh, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back to earlier, I love your joke about I hope your team wins, lady.
Have you heard that joke?
It.
Do you know that joke?
Well, I just Googled
You
the
Googled
punchline.
it, of course.
It's great. It goes back to 1961.
It's an old joke. Here's
Yeah.
some Steep Canyon Rangers. Grammy Award-winning banjo player Steve Martin from his album The Crow, playing a little claw hammer for us. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number. Edgar on the 10, which sounds like a freeway to me. Hi, Edgar. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yes, good day, sir. How do you do?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm excellent. A question. I have 3 granddaughters who are 6, 7, and 8, and the 2 oldest ones are in robotics.
Neat.
Now I've got them involved in cybersecurity, which have been contacted their school by the NSA, which wants to partner up with them. Obviously, our government has figured out, like the Japanese and Germans, that the knowledge in the future is with our young adults. And when they can find the smartest ones there, they will get possibly the way I view it is a leg up on the rest of everyone else that's waiting later to jump on board.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And even if it isn't a pre-professional thing, I think it's kids play with this stuff all the time. It would be so nice if they knew what was going on inside. They'd have some better understanding, and maybe then some percentage of them will go on to create, which is what you want.
Now, I should educate you real fast that the whole household does not have cable TV. They do not own any internet.
Even better.
They do not have a computer. They do not have any tablets. They have no electronic devices. They're not even smartphones. Because that's how Grandpa has set it up. Now, I realize now in the future that's going to be something that all of us or everyone is going to be operating off of is the computers and so forth.
Yeah.
I'm working with the executives at Lego, and I'm just got finished a EV3 complete system of their own, not through the school, so that they can have it to learn on their own.
Is that the Mindstorms stuff? The Lego Mindstorms?
That is the Lego educational.
It's great. It's just great. Now they're so young, but they're kind of able to do this and understand it.
I'm in transit right now from their school, and I just spent time there with them. And the biggest thing is the NSA that they're involved with, which is the security part of it.
Well, wait a minute. The NSA is involved with a grade school?
The NSA is willing to partner up with a grade school. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, I know.
And to kind of prep these kids because they will be good employees down the road?
Jackpot. They're doing what the Japanese did and find out the smartest, youngest ones to promote them.
That's scary.
Well, no, that might be pretty wise because sometimes when you wait too late and someone else has gotten a head start and realizes that they have a younger, better player, they're training them at a younger age.
Yeah,
my opinion.
yeah. That's how the Russians won the chess championships so many times. Start young.
I only
What's
have
your
education.
What's your question?
I'm wanting to know what should I do for them at home to help advance because this robot that they have, which is the same in the school, is not going to be taken to school. They're going to use it at home.
Yeah.
So I just
wonderful.
A tablet, and like I say, I'm completely computer illiterate.
But I think you're doing the right thing, which is you're giving them the tools, and if they have an affinity for this, giving them the opportunity to play with this. Now, they're at a big disadvantage because not only do they not have computers, they don't have the internet either. And I understand, I mean, a lot of people can't afford it, and I understand that. It's one of the reasons that I'm really pleased that libraries all over the country are now starting to make internet access available to everybody, regardless of income. Schools are paying attention to this too. But a lot of times what a school does, and I don't know if I agree with this, they'll go out and they'll buy an iPad or a bunch of iPads, and they'll put the school books on there and they'll put curriculum, and they're not really learning technology. That's not technology. That's another TV screen. So I think what you're doing is great. I think the way to learn about technology is to actively participate in the creation of it, the manipulation of it, and if kids have a mind towards that and they're inclined towards that, and maybe when you start young, and they all do, absolutely encourage it, Grandpa. So you got them the right thing. You got them those toys. It will be a challenge for them because they don't have the resources to go online, and that's frankly where you find new ideas, where you connect with other robotics people. Maybe you can do that. Maybe what you need to do, and in fact, I'd recommend this, Edgar, is to get a laptop that's internet connected. You know, you can get a Chromebook with cell internet service that'll work even in their home for a few $100s. And by doing that, maybe if the parents allow you to give it to them, that would be great. If not, bring it over. Parental supervision is a big part of this. An interested parent who is not going to be driving them, but going to be facilitating and encouraging them. And so because they're so young, you're going to be the one who's probably navigating the internet and saying, let's find a project. Let's get some instructions. There's many great resources online. Google will be your best friend here. I think the Lego's a great start. There are other electronic projects you can get into. You know what I would probably do is start with, and maybe even get them a subscription to, Make Magazine. Makezine, MakeZine.com. You can get them a subscription to a magazine. Each month, they'll get more projects and ideas for things they can build and do. I think that's a lovely idea. And you're right. I don't know so much about the NSA involvement, but I think a kid who is deprived of all technology as they grow up, I hate to say it, but it's like depriving somebody of books. It's depriving somebody of knowledge. And I understand people are afraid of the internet. It's expensive. Maybe they're afraid of what kids might find on the internet. So supervise. Do it with them. Don't be intimidated by it. But just as you should read to your kids, you should also spend time with your kids and encouraging them to understand technology. Not merely to be a consumer. That's all an iPad teaches you. But to be a creator. And building robotics is wonderful. That's a great start because there's some physicality to that kids usually enjoy. Hey, good luck. And I'm glad you're doing this, Edgar. A great resource to start with, makezine.com, or just subscribe. You can go to the newsstand and find a copy of Make Magazine, bring one home. That will give them lots of ideas. And do some of those projects with them. You know what? You'll become smarter too. It's not too late to do it. We do need to take a break. When we come back, we will continue on with your questions. I've got Bob in San Diego. He lost his contacts with iOS 9. Oh, no. We'll talk about iOS 9. We'll talk about the new iPhone. Lots of technology out there. That's what we do. We help you use it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by Gazelle. Gazelle! And it's a good time, too, because here comes the new phones, the new iPhone, the new Moto X Pure. Love that phone. The new Note 5. There's so many great phones out there, and perhaps you're thinking, I need to get a new phone. What are you going to do with the old phone? I trust you're not going to just throw it in a drawer to gather dust. That'd be like taking, a $100 bill and just wadding it up and throwing it in the door. That would be a mistake. That'd be a bad idea. I want you to go to Gazelle, Gazelle.com. At least do yourself this favor. Get a quote for that old phone. It might be worth a lot more than you think. The nice thing about Gazelle's quotes, they're locked for 30 days. So when you go to Gazelle.com and they say, well, that phone, yeah, we'll give you $150 for it. That's guaranteed for 30 days. You have time to get the new phone, transfer your data, all of that, and then pull the trigger. Once you do, they'll send you a box. They'll pay the postage, remove your data if you forget, and give you top dollar for it. They can pay you by check, by a PayPal credit, direct deposit, or if you buy a lot of stuff on Amazon, my tip to you, get the Amazon gift card. They'll bump it up by 5%. Not just phones either. They buy phones, of course, from Apple and iPads too, but BlackBerry, HTC, LG, Motorola, Nokia, Samsung. They'll buy tablets from Amazon and Google and Asus, even Microsoft Surface tablets, Samsung tablets, old iPods. By the way, they will buy broken devices in many cases and give you some money for it because they can use the parts. I think Gazelle is a great deal. Everybody should check it out. Gazelle, Gazelle.com. If you're getting ready to get the new iPhone or the new Motorola phone or the new Samsung phone or the new OnePlus One phone or the new Nexus, find out what your old phone is worth right now. It's never going to be worth more than it is at this very moment at Gazelle, Gazelle.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and why the 49ers are so bad. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. I promise I am not watching a football game right now. I am listening. I am rapt listening to your every word as I help you navigate your way across the information superhighway. Like a little frog jumping across the lanes. Hop, hop, hop. Bob in San Diego. You lost your contacts. I'm so sorry, Bob.
How are you, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
Haven't talked to you since Trio days.
The Trio. What a good old device that was.
Right. Well, it took 4 months for Apple to get my Trio information into my iPhone.
4 months, and now it's kablooey.
No. What happened was I was in the Apple store yesterday, and they asked me, "Have you put in iOS 9?" I said, "Is there any going to do anything on my phone?" No, just stand here about for half an hour, and we'll.
No. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. So then all of a sudden, I looked in several contacts where I have some passcodes, and they disappeared. Under where you have a contact, you have notes down at the bottom, and for some of them, I had passcodes in those notes. And they're gone. And
so the contacts aren't gone, just the notes.
Correct. Well, some of them are there. I have a lot of notes on a lot of contacts, and some of them are there, and some aren't. But the passcode ones were maybe 4 or 5 lines long, and those are not there.
Oh boy.
So I wondered, like with my Trio, of course, you had a memory card. When you backed up, you could go back to the previous day, and you could,
Yeah. So this is your hope, is that you have a backup somewhere. There's a couple of possibilities.
iCloud would back up, I presume, wouldn't it? But can you go to a specific date on iCloud?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. iCloud backup only if you turn it on.
Yeah, it's on, I believe.
Okay. Have you ever hooked it up to a computer and backed it up to iTunes?
Well, I don't have the internet right now because of a battle with Cox Cable. So I
don't need the internet to that, but if you've backed it up to the computer, there are ways to browse the backup and extract specific data.
Oh, well, let me go here. Let's see.
You don't have that. You don't have that capability with iCloud. I think with iCloud, you could restore your contacts, I think. But I don't think you can say, I want just this information out of there.
Well, the question is, can I go back to 2 days ago, for example?
No, I don't think it has. That's called versioning. Time Machine will do it, Apple's backup program, but I don't think iCloud will do that.
Oh, right now I'm on iPhone, and I back it up to this computer because I don't have the internet. You can't.
Good. So every time you hook it up to iTunes, it does a backup, right?
Yes. Well,
okay.
I don't know if I'm up to iTunes. It says iPhone. I plug it in, and I put backup now, and it backs up.
Good. Now, don't do anything because this is brain surgery. But you have all the stuff that you lost there.
Correct.
So the question is, how do you get it back?
How do I go to it, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like what you don't. One thing you can do is restore that from that backup. If you hook up the
only thing is that I synced it last night before I knew the problem, and so it's got all the new iOS 9 and whatever was in that, which probably doesn't have the information.
Oh, you backed it up again after this happened.
Yeah, I backed it up with iOS 9, and then all of a sudden I looked for something, and I thought, oh, it's not here.
Well, so if you do it with iTunes, it will keep multiple versions, and iTunes will show you which version. So what you want to do is, I presume, it's Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Windows. I think you must have iTunes running. I'm hoping you do.
Well, I don't because I don't have a website. I don't have the internet. So you can't get to iTunes without the internet.
So when it backs up, what program is backing it up?
It says your iPhone. You plug in the iPhone, and all of a sudden the screen comes up, the Apple screen, which starts off with iPhone 6, capacity, phone number, serial number.
Yeah, I think that's iTunes.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I believe so.
All right. And
so you can, in that interface, there's a restore button. Now,
yes, restore backup. It says.
Yeah. Now, see if it gives you a choice of backups.
Oh, let's see. Okay.
And maybe a drop down that says, which backup would you like to restore?
Well, it says, find my iPhone must be turned off before iPhone can be restored.
All right.
Go to iCloud settings on your iPhone and turn off my iPhone before restoring.
Well, follow those instructions, and then look, and one hopes that there are multiple backups. Usually with iTunes, if you'll see when you hit the restore button, there's a drop down, and you can say, oh, which backup do you want to restore? It would only be smart of iTunes to make a second backup with iOS 8 data. One hopes that they did that. If they didn't, there's still possible hope. What you could do is you're going to have to get somewhere with the internet, log on to your iCloud account, and there's a contact application right there. Look in that and see if the data, those notes that you're looking for are there. So you go to iCloud.com and you log in with your Apple account information. And inside that, there is a contacts application. That takes the data from your iPhone. That is, I guess, in some senses, the backup. In fact, maybe the first thing to do is go in your settings and turn off iCloud Backup. You don't want to. You probably don't want to back up anymore, because what you don't want to back up is the wrong changes. So I would think the best thing you could do is turn off iCloud Backup at this point. Not back up anymore, because you don't want to back up the bad stuff. You want to see if the good stuff's still there. Go to iCloud.com, log into your Apple account, look at the contacts, go to one that has notes, see if it's there. If it is, well, restoring might be a little bit of a challenge, but at least it's there. You maybe can download a copy of it, copy and paste it in. But you need to find somebody with a computer and on the internet. Maybe go to the library and log onto your iCloud account. 8888 Ask Leo. There is still a little bit more to go. I hope you give me a ring if you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion. Don't forget, we've got a great website. Absolutely free, techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. We do not have an open board. We have 6 lines, and they're all full. Sorry, Dr. Mom. But every time I hang up on somebody, that frees up a line. But you don't always know when I've hung up. A lot of times, I just turn them off. In fact, a lot of times, they're still on the line until I go to the next person. So, because I don't really hang up ever. I just turn off their mic so they can hear me answer and all that. So here's, if you go to your iCloud account, here's your contacts right here. Those are the contacts that were on your phone. That's where it gets them. So you can look at, this isn't your backup. Whoops, just disappeared. This isn't your backup, but it is your, what happened? Nothing, I just pushed a button or something. It is kind of like your backup. It's not the iCloud backup, but it is the contacts that were on the phone. I think I jump and then jive. Then I jump, jive, and then I wail. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Do I have those steps right? 8888 Ask Leo. Benny in Pasadena, you're next. Hi, Benny.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
Thanks. I called a couple weeks ago about a souped-up laptop and whether I should buy it or not.
Yeah, did you?
Well, I didn't buy it. He changed his mind. But one of the reasons I wanted to get it was so I wouldn't have to make a decision on a laptop.
I don't want to make a decision. I want you to make the decision for me.
So now I'm back to the beginning where I have to figure out what I want. But I know I want a Dell.
Good. I like Dell. I'm very happy with Dell. I have a Dell XPS 13, in fact, right here that I bought earlier this year because it's lightweight. But it sounds like you want a power machine.
Well, lightweight is good, actually. Lightweight.
Generally, the powerful machines, the so-called desktop replacements, are not light.
Oh, really?
But this is fast enough. It's good. I like it. It's a laptop. It's... I guess you'd call this what the term is an ultrabook, which means it's, under 4 pounds and very thin. It doesn't have an optical drive, no CD-ROM or DVD, but nowadays I don't think that's a disadvantage. It does have USB 3, and I'm running Windows 10 on it. You can have the choice on the Dell XPS 13. And by the way, they make a 15 as well, if you need a bigger screen. You have the choice on whether that screen is touch or not. If you're using Windows 8 or 10, I have to say I like touch, but it's going to add some significant cost to the hardware. So if price is an issue, what's your
probably about
budget?
I don't know, $700.
That's good. That's a good price. I think you could just and you want a laptop?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with it?
Well, just basic stuff. A document, a Microsoft document here and there, maybe a flyer here and there.
And all right.
Basic music, video on YouTube, email.
Okay. One thing you could look at is a Chromebook, to be honest with you. I think a lot of times we assume, because we see this at work and we see it, on the advertisements and on the TV shows, people have computers running Windows, or maybe OS 10, maybe Macintosh OS. But those things are nowadays, you didn't have a choice 10 years ago. But nowadays, you do have a choice. You don't need something so complex. Computers like Windows-based computer-based PCs and Macintosh OS 10-based Macintoshes, those are general-purpose devices that are really designed to do everything. Anything you can think of, from building rocket ships to the moon to surfing the net, to getting email. Most of us don't build rocket ships, don't do 3D design or video editing, don't compose symphonies on our computers. Mostly what we do is surf the internet, do some email, maybe an occasional document or two, word processing, or create a pamphlet for a missing kitty cat. All of those things can be done very easily with a less complicated machine that has the advantage of being easier to use, more secure, more reliable. With general purpose computing comes complexity. It has to. It has to be more complex so it can do all those things. It has to be more powerful. You may be overspending on RAM, on storage, on processors, on graphics, because you're getting a general purpose computer, and they're designed so you can bring home the latest video game and play it, do a lot of things you may never want to do. So you really have to ask yourself, what do I want to do? And get out of the kind of default thinking that we've had to be in for the last, for the first 20 years of the computing revolution. You had to buy a PC or a Mac, or maybe a Linux machine, but you had to get a full general purpose operating system. Today with Chromebooks, you don't. With iPads and Android tablets, you don't. For a lot of people, a tablet is all they need. If all you really want to do is watch videos, surf the web, listen to some music, consume content, a tablet's actually all you need. Much more secure, much more reliable, and generally less expensive. If you want a full-size keyboard, you need to be able to type. You need to be able to get on the internet and do things maybe more sophisticated than an iPad would allow you to do. Then I think a Chromebook is an excellent choice. They start around $150, believe it or not. You can get a good one for $250, $300. And they're more secure because they're not running a full general operating system, so malware can't get a foothold in it. Plus, Chromebooks, you can power wash them. You can very easily wipe them and start over. It's running a version of Linux that is more secure as well and less attacked. I have never heard, not one Chromebook virus. Not one. Never heard of it. There are, I would say it's probably at this point well over 100,000 Windows viruses and more than a few hundred Mac viruses. Not one on Chrome OS. Of course, I don't want you to buy a Chromebook if you need to do more, if you need to design rocket ships, although you'd be surprised how many people are doing some pretty heavy computing on Chromebooks. Now, the thing to understand about a Chromebook is it's a cloud-based system. It doesn't have a lot of storage locally. It assumes that you're going to be online whenever you're using it. They do have offline email and offline programs that you can run. Let's say you're about to get on a plane, you can get all your email and work on it on the plane, but you obviously can't send and receive email while you're offline. That's the kind of the nature of computing today isn't it? I mean, most of the stuff you want to do requires internet access. So I don't think it's too much to assume that you have internet access, but that's something you should keep in mind. There are Chromebooks you can buy, same with tablets, that have built-in cellular internet access. You'll pay $20 a month thereabouts for that, but that has the advantage of being always online everywhere you go, not just home, but as you're on the road everywhere. I really think we have to kind of rethink what we need and what we buy for technology. For a while, you remember Web TV, and then Microsoft bought it, and they call it Microsoft TV. That was something very simple, just a keyboard. It was really designed, I think, mostly for Grandma and Grandpa. It was a keyboard that would attach to the TV so they could get email and stuff. This is so far beyond that. This is a real computer. It really is. And if you need to do word processing, you've got Google Docs. It's nice because you don't have to worry about backup because the Google Docs are stored in the cloud as well as locally. Google has a presentation manager, and you can use all that for free. Google Mail is free. There are no ongoing costs to this, unlike Web TV and Microsoft TV. I really feel like for a lot of people, you should be looking at a tablet or a Chromebook. I think even for most people, a Chromebook's a great solution. I see a lot of schools now buying iPads for the school, and I go, it's a terrible idea. If your student, is in 6th, 7th, 8th grade high school, they need a keyboard. They need something a little more sophisticated than an iPad. They need a Chromebook, which ironically costs less. So my suggestion is maybe not to get that complicated, hairy beast of a computer. Spend a couple of $100. Go look at the Chromebooks at a local store. Best Buy has them. A lot of places have them. And try it out. See if you like it. I bet you it'll do everything you want, and it'll do it more securely with less hassle. And I bet you I'll never hear from you again, unfortunately. But call and just tell me how you're doing. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls coming up right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's so funny because it's hard to get out of when you get your head in a space, a modality, a way of thinking. It's hard to get out of it. And after we talked about Chromebooks and why you probably don't need to buy Windows, you don't need to. About 3 or 4 people in the chat room said, "But wait a minute, you can get a great Windows laptop for $200." I know you can. Do you need it? Do you want it? It's not just the price. There's a cost to having a more complex operating system. There's actually a much higher cost than the cost of buying it and getting it out the door. Then you have to learn how to use it. You have to tear your hair out when it doesn't work. You have to suffer along with problems and complexity. You have to worry about security. In fact, you have to become a security expert. There's a lot of things that you can just eliminate. And I understand, for years, you had to buy a computer, a Windows or a Mac or a Linux computer. You don't have to anymore. And so we need to kind of get out of that box. So many people go to the store and say, well, it's time to buy a laptop. I need a Windows laptop. No, you don't. Dell is, if you want to stay with Dell, they're offering now 13-inch Chromebooks that are higher spec so that they're faster. I love my Chromebook Pixel. This is one that comes from Google and is ridiculously expensive. I think it was $1,200. I'm not recommending. Well, if you can afford it, I am recommending it. It's wonderful. Touch screen, high res, built out of beautiful cast aluminum, but it's more of a showpiece than an actual product. But what I do like seeing is there are now $300 and $400 Chromebooks that have higher end specs that are well made. You want 4 gigs of RAM if you can find it. Samsung's making some excellent ones. Asus. There are lots of good choices out there. In fact, isn't it interesting that it's the companies who make PCs who are making these Chromebooks? It's the same companies. They're very similar. It really is almost the same as a PC with a different operating system on it. No, Visual Studio does not run on a Chromebook. Cosmic Ray, if you're writing software, well, I don't know. I've been able to do some fun programming on Chromebooks using internet-based programming environments like Coding, KODING.com. More and more, the kinds of things you want to do, even on a sophisticated computer, can be done on a Chromebook. And Apple's iPad Pro, to me, is fascinating. Because I think it's Apple's way of saying, hey, we can make an easier-to-use, secure, but professional-grade platform. And the Pro is going to be, I think, fascinating because it's touch first. It's the first really desktop, power computer without a keyboard. You can buy one, but you don't really need one. It's about using your fingers. And there are certain things like making music. The GarageBand on there is incredible. It's just like a real mixer, but it's digital. And drawing, 3D design, certain things that you can really do beautifully on a touch-first system. Not necessarily recommending it. It's going to be an expensive toy for the first year or so. But I think it's telling. I do believe that you really don't need the complexity, the security hassles of a general-purpose computer in most cases. Sage is in Los Angeles, our next caller. Hi, Sage. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hello? Sage, hello.
My question is, how can I update my email on iCloud?
How can I update my... Okay, I need a little more specific. Update your email, how...
So the problem I'm having is I'm currently logged on, and I haven't really used it, and I never thought I've used it, but apparently about 4 years ago or so, I logged in and used it, and I don't have that email any longer.
I see. So you have a login for iCloud, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's your email address at iCloud.
But I haven't used it, so I don't know the password anymore.
Ah, well, you have to call Apple and say, I need to recover my password. They're going to go put you through some hoops because they don't want to make it too easy. But if you're on iCloud and you're on the login page, I'm sure I'll have to look. Let me sign out and see. I'm sure there's a button that says, I forgot. Yeah. Forgot your Apple ID or password. It's right there. Click it. And you're going to be jumping through some hoops. Rightly so, because Apple doesn't want to make it easy for somebody to pretend to be Sage, calling up and saying, hi, this is Sage. I need my password. In the past, they've made it a little bit too easy. If you've given them a credit card number and a couple of important things, they would have given it to you over the phone. That caused some real problems for a friend of mine, a computer writer named Matt Honan, whose account was compromised because of that. Afterwards, Apple took a much stronger stance on giving this information out. So you'll have to jump through some hoops. But as it says here, you can change or reset the password from your Apple ID account by providing some information. You'll have to work through that. If you can't provide that information, if you can't go through that process, then you're just stuck. There's no recourse, because otherwise that would make it easy for bad guys to pretend to be you and get your email, and that's about the worst thing that can happen. David in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, David. Hey, come on over to the phone. I'm over here.
Sorry, man. It's been like 2 hours.
I know. Thanks for hanging on. I appreciate it.
For me, for the leg.
I talk a lot. I'm a gas bag. I apologize.
Okay. So last night, so I have a laptop, a Lenovo, and I've always plugged it in because I just want to save the battery until I really, really need it, right? So last night I'm trucking along and I get this alert, low battery alert, 7% left. I'm like, what? So I check all the
plugged in. How could it be?
Right. So then, it finally crashes on me and dies, right?
Oh,
so
no.
I tried, plugging it in, and I think I found the solution while I was on hold for...
That's why we keep you on hold, so you'll find the answer.
Right.
It's a self-help thing.
So I got off Noah's Ark, and made my way and all that.
So how old is the laptop?
It's it's less than 2 years old, but here's what I think might have happened is that because I have a surge protector, an APC Professional that I've had since I got off Noah's Ark, really, really, really long time. So I plugged it directly into the wall because the battery light...
what happened then?
So the battery light was like orange and blinking intermittently, then it went to solid white. So I guess my question is, could it be the surge protector?
You bet.
Really?
So is the surge... Okay, so here's the deal. Is it one of those surge protectors that has a battery in it? It's a UPS. They call it uninterruptible power supply, or UPS.
It's an APC Professional.
Yeah, APC Well, I don't know. Okay, check. Look and see if there's a battery. Is it heavy? Or is it just a power strip?
It looks like it's just a power strip. I don't see any compartment for a battery.
So there's a couple of things. If you have battery backup, a UPS, those batteries wear out. They actually wear out pretty fast. And if it wears out, it's not going to be any use to you, and it could, in fact, keep your laptop from charging. It may be that the surge protector got tripped or is malfunctioning. The fact that you could plug it in the wall, now, we don't know yet because it's brand new. You just figured this out. We don't know if it's going to fix the problem, or do you think it is?
Well, the laptop I got it in December 2012, and whenever I turn it on, I get like a battery alert thing saying that your battery is almost charged.
But you're not getting it now.
I'm not getting it now.
Yeah, it may be that it wasn't getting charged because of a faulty surge protector. You may have solved it.
So now I should have a surge protector, right?
No, a laptop doesn't really need a surge protector.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Laptop has circuitry in it to protect it.
Really?
In fact, in a way, a laptop is a UPS, so I don't think you need one. Surge protectors have been oversold for years. If you get hit by a big surge, you're out of luck anyway. The lightning will just jump right across it. Really, in some ways, the reason you get the surge protector is for the insurance. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. I'm watching the... post-game press conference. I got it on the TV. I'm not watching it. No, I'm paying attention to you, really. But the post-game press conference for the 49ers game, of course, Colin Kaepernick, the 49ers quarterback, like a lot of football players. He loves his headphones. They use it to get in the zone, you know. But last year, the NFL made a deal with Bose headphones. Maybe you've even noticed, instead of, the coaches' headphones now say Bose on them instead of Motorola, all that. And unfortunately, most of the players, I'm pretty sure most of the players listen to Beats. Even though they all receive nice Bose headphones they could wear, they like their Beats. Colin won't give up his Beats. Last year, he got fined because the NFL said, 1 hour before the game and 1 hour after the game, thou shalt not be seen wearing Beats headphones. So I'm looking at the press conference. Here's Colin with what is very obviously a pair of Beats headphones, but he's got a little bit of black tape over the B. So I think technically they could be Bose. They could be Bose. That just shows you the power brand, isn't it? Because I doubt very much those Beats headphones are in any way better than Bose headphones, or that either brand is the best headphone. I think there are many better headphones made, but brand, right? Especially with the hip and the young, is everything. 8888, Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go, and welcome back to Tom in Warren, Ohio. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Leo. Good to speak with you. I had a good week over here. All my football teams, college, pro, and high school won their games. Got to see Joe Walsh.
Nice.
Yeah, and now I finished my week off by talking to Mr. Leo Laporte.
Joe Walsh is Bill Walsh's brother, right? Bill, the former quarterback. No, I'm kidding. Joe Walsh of the Eagles. He's a ham. He's quite a geek, Joe Walsh is.
Oh, yeah.
I've spoken to him, and he loves he's a geeky guy. He loves his ham gear, and he's again, a great musician, of course. Well, what can I do for you, Tom?
Anyway, I'm thinking what brand or what type of equipment for Powerline communications that I could use to send internet to my detached garage.
Yes. I've become a recent convert to Powerline networking. I tried it years ago. I mean, almost 20 years ago, and it was terrible. But they've gotten better and better. And in fact, I just installed a pair of TP-Link devices so that, because the house is spread out, it's ranch style, and one floor, and so the distance from the Wi-Fi access point in the living room all the way out to the gym is so far that the internet's not great. So what I did is you buy a kit. It's got two things in it. There's the base unit, I guess, for want of a better word. It plugs in to the wall next to the router, and you plug an Ethernet cable from your router or your modem into that. And then across the house, I plug in the second unit into the wall, and it's a wireless access point. And what's amazing is the power lines become the cabling connecting the two. Now, of course, it's not perfect because there's power on those power lines, and they're not designed to carry data, but I guess they've gotten better and better at filtering out the noise and boosting the signal. So I'm getting about 20 megabits to and fro. Now, that's not as fast as if you had Ethernet there. It'll be 100 megabits or even gigabit because it's a pretty fast router. But even 20 megabits is enough for internet surfing, certainly for watching TV, for all the things that I want to do. So I really like it. There are a number of companies that make these. There are even two different standards. There's the Powerline Network Alliance, PNA, and there's Homeline, or I can't remember the two different standards. Most of these devices support one or the other, but that doesn't matter because you're going to get matching units anyway. I was very happy with the TP-Link. They weren't expensive. They're a Chinese company. One of the reasons I got it is because Google's new router, the OnHub, is made by TP-Link. I figure, well, that's a pretty good vote of confidence. But a number of companies make these. I did read some reviews online, and TP-Link seemed to get good reviews. So the only one I have experience with is them, but they work great. Now, there's some things to be aware of, one of which is it doesn't work across a junction. So if your house has multiple kind of junction boxes, apparently that interferes with it. You need to have basically copper between the plugs, nothing else. Copper plug to plug. And I can imagine there's just some kinds of noise and things that would interfere. But my experience has been good. Not as fast as an Ethernet cable, but it's not practicable for me to string Ethernet. Now, if you're building a house or you can get under the house, or there's some way for you to put Ethernet, that's often the best way to do it. In fact, I would put a conduit. I'd put a plug in every wall of every room of a new house with conduit, a tube leading around. The first thing you put in that tube is going to be probably a Cat 6 cable, a high-speed Ethernet cable. But who knows, in 5 years you might want to put fiber or something even better in there, Cat 7, because you might want more speed. And you could say, well, gosh, why would I ever need more than gigabit? I don't know. Ultra high def, a lot of content. We're using more and more speed all the time these days. Jay in Providence. Is it Providence, Rhode Island?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Hi, Jay.
Hey, Leo. I'm trying to install Chrome on a distribution of Linux, and I'm not sure if it's the Linux causing the problem or the hardware. It's a pretty old laptop. And anyway, Chrome just won't install. It tries.
Oh, the fun of Linux. What distribution are you using?
It's called Lubuntu, not Ubuntu. It's supposedly a lighter weight.
Yeah, but it's a version of Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Which means it's going to be using Ubuntu's package manager for installing. And you got Chromium, right?
You're talking about the browser?
Yeah.
Or yes.
Yeah. We call it Chrome, and I guess it is effectively Chrome. But Chromium is the default, is kind of the Unix or Linux version of Chrome. Now, Lubuntu comes with Chromium, right?
This one didn't, for whatever reason.
Okay. Does it give you any reasonable error message, or is it just crashing on you?
It just crashes, and I was trying to remember, I tried Adobe Flash, and it seems like that I didn't get an error message, but it definitely wouldn't install it either.
Well, the nice thing about Chromium is you won't need to install Flash. I wouldn't install Flash on a Linux distribution to begin with. I'm surprised you can. So have you gone to the Chromium site and looked at the installation information? Sometimes what happens is you're missing a library, or a library is of a different version. That's why the error message is the most important thing to figure it out. If you don't get an explicit error message, I'd look in the logs and see. But Chromium is designed to work with Linux. And in fact, Lubuntu comes in its full install anyway with Chromium as the browser. So I know it works, but I'll give you an example. I upgraded via Ubuntu to a new version, and for some reason the new version removed a library that Chromium wanted. So then I tried to install Chromium, and same problem, couldn't install it. Did a little digging, looked at logs, looked on the internet, figured out, oh, it's missing this library. Chromium pushed out a new version that fixed it, a few days later. But in the meantime, I had to go out, get that library, and install it. That's the kind of thing, unfortunately, that keeps Linux from being a popular desktop operating system. You got to be a little bit of a geek. Hey, we're out of time. Thanks to Nathan Staten, musical director, Heather Hammond, phone ranger, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. See you next time. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today and Tech News Tonight. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.